What's up guys, my name is Andy. In this video, I'm gonna be replacing the rear shocks on my classic Mustang. Quite a while back, I did a video where I replaced the shocks that were on there when I got the car, and I just put on some KYB, they were XLG shocks. They're just kind of like an OEM replacement. There's nothing fancy about them. They were better than what was on the car, but they're not performance oriented, which is fine at the time. I didn't know what I wanted to do with the car at the time, but now that I'm getting a better idea of where I wanna go with this car, I just did a video not too long ago where I replaced the front shocks with some coilovers from QA1, which you can see the banner up there in the garage. Yeah, I got another banner. So I just did that and I'm happy with those. I'm still dialing in the settings, trying to figure out where I want to be with the compression and rebound because I got those double adjustable coilovers. I'm really liking them. That was a fantastic setup. So because of that, I wanted to get some rear shocks, and what better than to go with QA1. So I reached out to them and ordered a set of just their rear shocks. These are double adjustable like the front, but they're not coilovers like the front. I don't know what I want to do with the rear end yet. I'm still trying to figure out if I'm going to do a coilover set down the road or change the suspension. So for now, I'm just going to leave those leafs in there and just go with their shocks. And because they offer something for this car, I think this is going to be a fantastic mate. In fact, actually, when I was originally looking this stuff up, I wanted to do the rear shocks first, but they didn't have these in stock. So I was talking to them, we did the front coilovers. I've had those in there for a while now. Now these are available, got this set up, so I'm getting anxious to put this in the car. Let's open this up and take a look what's in the box. For those that need that, there's the part number, TD601. And what we got in here? Oh boy, okay. Oh, you look sticker. Instructions. You know, one of the best things, again, they give you, I really love that they do this. They give you, depending on your type of suspension desire, you know, what do you want? Drag racing or firm ride, nice ride, aggressive, whatever. Depending on what setup you have, this is just a starting point of where to begin. And like I mentioned on the other video with those coilovers, I like that they give you a place to start. You don't just start from the bottom and figure it out. You can go wherever you want with these, but this at least gives me a starting point, and that's what I really do appreciate that they do that. Alrighty, so then we've got, there's the bushings and hardware for each end, and then we've got the shock itself. You know, one thing I forgot to point out on the other video that I did was just how massive this is. This shock here is, oh, if I can pull this out, I don't know if you can see how big that is. And I don't know the exact diameter of the KYB shock that I had in there, but I already know that these are just a beefier setup, and I like that kind of stuff. Okay, compression, rebound. Now we are going to start all the way at 0, and then I'll look at the chart here and kind of figure out where I want to go, and then we're going to set these before I put them in the car. And it's really just unplug the other ones and plug these ones in. I don't have to do alignment, which is fantastic. It makes it easier to install these. Let's go ahead and get the car up on jack stands and start removing the shock out of the back of the car. Now, because I have a fastback, I need to remove this panel to get to the top of the shocks, and it's just a couple of screws. If you guys have a coupe, you do it through the trunk, and there's a couple of plugs right up next to where the back of the seat is. There's a couple plugs, just like there's going to be here, but it's on the back side. So that's how you guys get to that. And in fact, if you guys look at my older videos when I had my coupe before this, when I did the rear shocks, you can see how you take those shocks out on that video. So we'll just pull these two plugs. Don't want to lose these because we're going to save these and put them back in when we're done. And then we're going to want to get to the nuts that are at the top of the shocks here, and we'll undo those. We're just going to use a 9/16 deep socket to get those out. And really, you don't need to worry about fishing this stuff out. When we pull the shock up from below, this will just come off the top of it. Now we're going to jack up the car, and we just can jack up from the pumpkin there on the differential and just support the car there, and then we'll put some jack stands underneath. You don't have to jack it up this high. I just did that so that I can have a lot of room to work underneath here and get the camera and stuff. So next thing we're gonna do is do the same thing on the bottom that we just did on the top of the shocks. We'll just take that 9/16 nut off. And we'll pull the washer and the bushings and stuff out, and then we can just push up on the shock and it'll just compress it, and we'll pop it out of that hole that it's sitting in, drop it down from the top, then we're good to go. Just so we don't forget, let's go ahead and grab the bushing and the washer that was on the top of the shock, because when we put the new parts in, we'll use the new parts. We won't need these, and I don't want to leave them rattling around in there. Now we want to get the shock prepped, and just like the other shock, you assemble it kind of the same way. You've got a washer, then a bushing, then a bushing, then a washer, and then the nut. Now, I do want to point out, you see how this has got a larger boss on it versus that one? This smaller one goes up here towards the washer. The reason why is that larger circle fits in the cutout, like in the bottom of that leaf spring mount there that this sits inside when you're in the bottom there. That fits that hole. And then the same thing when you go to put this on, you're gonna want that boss facing it, so it's like that, the small one towards the washer. But we don't need this yet because I gotta put it in the car, but that's what we'll do. And then same thing with the top, washer, bushing with that larger boss, this time sticking up, and then we're ready for that. So, okay, now I do want to adjust these before we put them in. It's not gonna matter, you can do it once it's in the car, I'm just gonna take care of it now. And like I was saying about the instructions, kind of where you want, depending on the kind of ride you want, looks like I'm gonna do 6 and 6. So we're at the top end of nice ride handling, and the bottom end of firm ride and improved handling. So we'll go, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then for the rebound, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now what we're doing is we're at the top end of the nice ride. So again, this is kind of where I want to start, and you guys may have different settings. That's the beauty of this stuff. You can do what you want. I'm gonna start there and see what it gives me, and then I can adjust it as I go. Let me get the other shock ready, and then we can go ahead and put them in the car. And before I put this in here, you know what I should probably point out, it's easier if you leave these on 0 because we have to extend this out to reach up under the top up there. So if you put these all the way to 0, and then you can move this shaft up and down, and it's a lot easier to kind of get this thing to fit inside. So we're gonna put the top of this up inside the car and compress it so that it will allow us to put the bottom in, the bottom of my shock mount here, or my spring mount. There we go. Again, put the large boss, this time will be up first. And you can put these facing where you want. I'm gonna have them face toward the back, because if I ever want to adjust them, it's easier just to reach from the back instead of trying to reach around the front. We'll cinch those down. And they also include a jam nut here for the bottom, so we'll put that on when we're done, get everything tightened up, and then we'll put this on at the very end. Then you can just extend the shock up into the body there and push it all the way up, and then we'll put the bushing and washer and stuff on there when we get back in the car. And just like the other side, we'll put it up in the car first, compress it a little bit so we can get it into the shock body here, or the spring mount, spring perch. Drop that in there. In fact, you might find that you have to extend the shock just a little bit for this to sit in the right place. There we go. Put the bushing on. So now you can see the top of the shock is sticking up through there. So we're gonna put, remember, make sure this is the right way, put the bushing on there, and then the washer, and then the nut. All right, that side's done. All right, and that one's done. fold this back down. All right, now I'm going to put this jam nut on here. You probably could have done this earlier, but everything's installed, so I'm good to go. So let's just tighten this up. Okay, so now is a good time to do the settings since everything's all installed. So okay, so I did want to point out too, and I mentioned this on the coilovers. What's great about these two is that there's a resistance. Every click you can feel each click. It's obvious. It's not sensitive at all, as you can tell, and you can also hear it click too. So when you're setting these, you don't have to worry about did I get the right number of clicks, because you'll know, you'll feel it when you're doing that. So, all right, these guys are done. All right, that takes care of that. That's installed. Guys, the time to do all this, I'm like an hour into this, and I'm messing with the camera and lighting and all that kind of stuff and trying to make sure I say the right stuff. And so if it's gonna take me an hour to do that, you guys will take less than that. So this is one of those easy installs, easy upgrades, and a 9/16 socket is really all you need for this whole thing. So that's fantastic. So again, I want to thank QA1 for helping me with these shocks. I'm anxious to get out and try these. This is something that, again, I want to dial that stuff in, and that's why I wanted to upgrade from those KYB shocks that I had, because they don't offer any adjustability, and this is something that I can dial the car in because I like a little more spirited driving than just going down the highway. So I want to get out and get some miles on that. Everything's done, we're ready to go. I'm excited. So guys, if you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. And if you subscribe, I appreciate it because it helps my channel out. And we'll see you in the next one.